You're watching a Highwire Media podcast.
Welcome to the Big D Breakdown. As always, I'm your host, Larry Lease, and today we dive into all the latest headlines coming out of AT&T Stadium. Before we do that, give me your thoughts on the Cowboys coming out of Week 2. And with that, let's dive into our first topic. It took 2 games for the Cowboys to remedy their biggest 2024 disaster. The Dallas Cowboys pulled out a wild overtime win against the New York Giants. While there are plenty of takeaways, one clear positive from the past 2 weeks has been their improved run game. In 2024, the run game was a true disaster. Their rushing average ranked 30th in football, while Rico and Ezekiel Elliott don't deserve most of the blame. Elliott looked like he was on his last legs. Signing him after the draft to be the starter was organizational malpractice. The Athletic laid out perfectly why Javonte Williams has been perfect for Dallas, noting that the Cowboys totaled 6 rushing touchdowns last season. Williams is on track to break that well before the halfway point of the 2025 campaign. Williams' touchdown was a thing of beauty. After finding the hole, he slipped past 2 defenders on the way in for a 30-yard touchdown run. The offensive line, along with Williams' experience and punishing running style, is all that Dallas needed to turn it around. Compared to this time last year, Cowboy fans were left befuddled about the running back hierarchy. The team, likely because of Jerry Jones' influence, completely misused Dowdle, who finished with over 1,000 rushing yards despite not taking the starting job until the halfway point of the season. Williams got involved in all aspects of the game on Sunday. He ran 18 times for 97 yards and a score, adding 6 catches for 33 yards. Thanks to a budding young Cowboys offensive line, Williams is getting holes, and he's hitting them with conviction and power. It's a welcome sight for Cowboy fans after last season's Elliott disaster. While there's still curiosity about what rookie Jaden Blue can do, or can bring once he's made active, Williams is starting to look like a true number 1 running back with no confusion about who's leading the backfield. Through 2 weeks, pre-Monday Night Football, Williams is 3rd in the NFL with a 60.6% rushing success rate among running backs who've had at least 25 carries. Imagine saying that when the Cowboys signed him in March. So let me know your thoughts on the improved running game. And with that, let's get into our next topic, shall we? We're going to take a look at 3 players that are impossible to ignore following this massive Week 2 win against the Giants. The Dallas Cowboys got into the win column for the first time this season in dramatic fashion, to say the least. It took Brandon Aubrey nailing a 64-yard field goal at the end of regulation just to give the Cowboys a chance to win it in overtime. Aubrey delivered again, giving Dallas a 40-37 win and their first for new head coach Brian Schottenheimer. While the win looks good after a tough Week 1 loss to Philadelphia, there is still a lot the team needs to work on. Fortunately, some of the newcomers to the team are starting to make names for themselves in Dallas. These players are seeing their stock rise quickly after Sunday's win. Number 1, George Pickens. The Cowboys traded for George Pickens for games like Sunday. While his stats were only 5 grabs for 58 yards, the big catches came when the team needed them. His biggest play of the day came on the final Cowboys drive in regulation. Dak Prescott looked in the left corner of the end zone and found Pickens for the go-ahead score. He was well covered, but he was able just to get his feet on the other side of the goal line when he hauled it in. However, that moment got lost in what else Pickens had done to that point. The Giants struggled committing penalties all game. That certainly helped the Cowboys come away with the win. 2 pass interference penalties were drawn by Pickens on 2 scoring drives. The first came when Dallas was down 10-13 in the 3rd quarter. The penalty set up a Javonte Williams touchdown that gave Dallas the lead back. Later in the beginning of the 4th quarter, Pickens drew another penalty that helped Dallas get a field goal to go up 20-16. Drawing penalties is not what a receiver should be known for. However, Pickens was challenging the Giants' defensive backs so much that they had to give up field position at the price of slowing him down. Those moments helped extend drives and were a big plus for this offense. Without those moments, Dallas might not have had enough points to win this game. In overtime, Pickens proved his worth again, making a crucial 27-yard catch that eventually set up Aubrey's game-winning field goal. After a quiet debut against Philadelphia last week with only 30 yards on 3 catches, Pickens showed why he was worth the trade earlier this summer. If he continues to step up in key moments, he and Lamb will be hard to stop. Number 2, Javonte Williams. The Cowboys have found their starting running back for this year. Javonte Williams was brought in to be part of a running back by committee group. Through their first 2 games, he looked like he should be the primary starter. After 2 rushing touchdowns in the opener, Williams had one of the best days a Cowboys running back has had in probably 2 years. He rushed for 97 yards and scored his 3rd touchdown of the season. That ties the number for how many rushing touchdowns Ezekiel Elliott had last year as the leader for the whole season. With the season still very young, the fact Williams is already making impacts in the run game as a new face is very encouraging. Miles Sanders found redemption for fumbling last week with a score of his own, but the day on the ground belonged to Williams. He demonstrated elusiveness and power that the Cowboys' running game lacked entirely last year. Those traits were on display during his rushing touchdown. That score breathed a new life into the Cowboys' offense. He also had a highlight play of hurdling a Giants defender that set up Pickens' go-ahead touchdown in regulation. It might be early, but through 2 games, it looks like the Cowboys have solved their starting running back problems that plagued them most of last year. While there is still a belief Jaden Blue will fight both Williams and Sanders for touches, right now Dallas should not be concerned about their starting running back. And then number 3, Kenneth Murray. The Cowboys' defense arguably gave this game away multiple times in the 4th quarter. The secondary looked shaky without DaRon Bland, but the same cannot be said for the linebackers. Kenneth Murray had a bounce-back game playing like the player Dallas expects him to be on defense. Murray was second on the team in tackles for linebackers against the Giants with 7. 2 of them were for losses where he showed his pursuit and awareness. One was on a key 3rd down when Russell Wilson checked down to Wan'Dale Robinson. Murray read the play perfectly and made the stop, giving the Cowboys defense their first forced punt of the day. Murray struggled last week, to say the least. It culminated with a stiff arm Saquon Barkley gave him late in the game. After a performance like that, many were wondering if he and Jack Sanborn are cut out to be the man in the middle of this defense. Sunday's win showed Murray was worth trading for back in March. While the linebackers are still plagued by injuries with DeMarvion Overshown out, Murray brought some extra juice to this group against the Giants. For a player looking for a fresh start, Murray looks like he is starting to find his way in Dallas. Let me know your thoughts on this topic. And of course, is there somebody I missed? Somebody you think I should have included? Let me know. And with that, let's go to our next topic. The Cowboys offense could go volcanic in week 3 after a massive Bears injury. It took 2 games for Dallas Cowboy fans' projection for the 2025 season to come to fruition. The offense is going to be one of the best in football, and the defense is going to be one of the worst in football. The latter could change once DaRon Bland, DeMarvion Overshown, and DaRon Bland return from injury. Dak Prescott is going to have to carry the team for the foreseeable future, including this Sunday's matchup against the 0-2 Bears. Coming off scoring a 40-burger against a talented Giants defense, Prescott and company should erupt once again, already a weak secondary. The Bears will now be without star cornerback Jaylon Johnson for potentially the rest of the season after he re-aggravated a groin injury in week 2. Just what the doctor ordered. DaRon Bland is a long shot to suit up in week 3, so the Cowboys offense will once again have to be prolific to improve to 2-1. While Caleb Williams hasn't looked comfortable in Ben Johnson's offense, Russell Wilson, Malik Neighbors, and Wan'Dale Robinson just scored 37 points and posted over 500 yards of offense against Dallas. It stands to reason that Williams, DJ Moore, and Rome Odunze will break out of their funk. That's why Johnson's injury is so devastating. The Bears' pass rush has been dormant to start this season, so offenses have been able to feast on their secondary, which has already been without starting nickel cornerback Kyler Gordon, who is week to week with a hamstring injury. With Johnson out, the Bears will roll with Tyreek Stevenson and old friend Nashawn Wright as their starting outside corners. If Gordon can't go, that would keep Nick McLeod in the nickel. Both Stevenson and McLeod were picked on by the Lions in week 2. Stevenson and McLeod allowed perfect passer ratings in the game per PFF. The former allowed 5 catches on as many targets for 97 yards and a touchdown, while the latter allowed 6 catches on as many targets for 97 yards and 2 touchdowns. Johnson was the one player Chicago couldn't afford to lose. He allowed just 16 yards in coverage in a game in which the Bears surrendered 52 points and 334 passing yards. Just imagine what CeeDee Lamb and George Pickens will be able to do. It should be another huge day for the offense. Excuse me. The Cowboys have granted Dak Prescott all 3 wishes. The Dallas Cowboys won their first game of the 2025 season. How they got there? We'll save that for another episode. For now, let's focus on the positives. Dak Prescott put together another strong game and ultimately had the key first down run that helped set up Brandon Aubrey's game-winning field goal. On the topic of Prescott, the Cowboys granted him 3 wishes that he had really been hoping for, and we've seen the fruits of that already. Let's look at the wishes that Cowboys granted for their quarterback and how it's paying off for everyone involved. So starting off, the Cowboys gave Dak Prescott another excellent receiver. CeeDee Lamb is fantastic, but he's not nearly as dangerous when everyone knows who the ball is going to. That's why the Cowboys were smart to trade for Pickens, a lethal wideout for the Steelers who had been on thin ice in Pittsburgh throughout his time there. Pickens might have a flair for dramatics, but if he keeps putting on the kind of performances he did on Sunday against the Giants, Cowboys fans might take the good with the bad. Pickens finished the game with 5 catches for 68 yards and a touchdown and had the clutch 27-yard reception put them into Giants territory on that final drive. Lamb and Pickens combined for 180 receiving yards, and having 2 fabulous receivers is only going to help a quarterback, especially one as seasoned as Prescott. Pickens might have his dramatic moments, but he came through when called upon. Number 2, Cowboys gave Prescott an actual rushing attack. Some people might have scoffed at the Cowboys when their solution at running back this offseason was to add a 28-year-old past his prime Miles Sanders and the oft-injured Javonte Williams. Well, guess what? It's working. In the Week 2 victory over the G-Men, Williams led the team in rushing yards with 97 off 18 carries and scored a touchdown as well. Sanders ran the ball 5 times for 15 yards, but scored a touchdown. This gave the 2 Cowboy backs a total of 112 rushing yards and 2 trips into the end zone. It's also worth mentioning that Williams at 33 receiving yards, so he's making an impact there too. Give a quarterback like Prescott an actual backfield to alleviate some of the pressure off of him, and look at the results he'll get. It's still early in the year, but so far this is looking like a terrific move for the Cowboys. And number 3, Cowboys gave Prescott a tremendous offensive line. While Prescott was sacked 3 times in this eventual win, the offensive line has looked pretty competent so far. The trio of Tylers have played well, and clearly the O-line has been able to help the run game out, opening holes for Williams and Sanders to run through. Not every game is going to be a winner for this offensive line, but the signs of growth are there. Prescott had a great offensive line earlier in his career, and we saw the payoff of that. Now let's see if he can take advantage of the protection again. And now on to our next topic. Speaking of wishes, the Cowboys granted Javonte Clowney the one wish he's been waiting for. I should say waiting years for. After the Cowboys got a walk-off win in overtime against the Giants, Jerry Jones announced the team had signed a veteran and former number 1 overall pick, I can always forget how to say his name, Clowney. There are not many other things that can provide better regular season catharsis than a nice win and a big free agent signing back-to-back. Clowney is unofficially the Cowboys' response move to trading away pass rusher Micah Parsons to the Packers, as they've struggled defensively in the first 2 games, especially up front. But Clowney isn't just focused on helping fill the void left behind Micah Parsons. He wants to play under the lights and on national TV. The Athletic transcribed Clowney's full answer, saying, quote, "I got 7 primetime games to prove and show the world. That was my whole thought on coming down here. I get to play primetime and put myself out there again. Sky is the limit again for me. I don't feel like I'm getting old. Terrence Crawford just beat somebody at 37 years old. I got a lot left in the tank. After playing under the lights in the very first game of the regular season, the Cowboys still have 5 additional primetime matchups this season. On top of that, they play in the national spotlight on Thanksgiving, as well as in the noon slot on Christmas Day, a Netflix production. That makes it 7 more times that Clowney is going to be able to play in the spotlight with the Cowboys, who are always in the NFL's spotlight, it seems. It may seem like a silly thing for Clowney to say, but think about the fact that a former number 1 overall pick of his caliber is still sitting in NFL free agency here in the middle of September. Clowney has been a productive player over the course of his career, even if he hasn't lived up to the number 1 overall pick draft status. He's played the last 6 years with the Panthers, Ravens, Browns, Titans, and Seahawks. With all due respect to those teams, it's not like the NFL is trying all that hard to get those teams maximum exposure every single year. The Ravens might be a slight exception, but Baltimore's national exposure pales in comparison to what the league typically does to get the Cowboys in front of the biggest audience possible. And while teams can still scout players without a national spotlight, this is going to give Clowney the best possible chance to maximize his value. The opportunity is there with the Dallas defense for Clowney to really have a resurgence this late in his career. He's still only 32 years old, and like he said, he believes the sky is the limit for him now that he's in Dallas. Of course, the job has only just begun. Clowney has to actually go out there on the field and make it matter that he signed on with a team that has a bunch of national exposure as the season goes along here. Dallas needs his veteran presence off the edge, and if he can string something together, he might be able to parlay it into a big money deal after the season. Let me know your thoughts on the topics we've covered, and of course, if you want to support the channel, you can buy us a coffee at buymeacoffee.com/thebigd. And of course, give us a thumbs up if you like our video, hit that subscribe button down below, hit the bell notification button to be notified of future videos, and of course, we will see you next week.